everyone, it's Julie with Firefly. All right, I hope that this finds you safe and sane during this time of quarantine, and most importantly, I hope you're finding some joy in your life right now. For me, I've found the most joy in the kitchen, and so I decided I wanted to share with you how to make kraut at home, because I believe it's absolutely essential that we're consuming these foods for a really healthy microbiome and the best immunity we can have. So let's do it. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to try to keep it really simple because I want you to not overthink it and just do it. I've been getting emails and photos from people who have been inspired over the years and they're making it. So I'm hoping that you can do it too. So I've took the liberty to do a little bit of advanced prep, so I'm not rambling here for 30 minutes, but I'm going to just talk you through the real basics and let's get it done. All right, all you need is a cutting board, a knife, a jar. We like really wide mouth jars. They're a little bit easier to stuff, but anything you have will work. We want a bowl and a nice firm head of cabbage. Organic is best if you can get it. There's lots of deliveries to homes right now, so I'd recommend that because you want all that live bacteria that's supposed to be there, those organisms that come naturally on vegetables. And then second to the cabbage, that's most important, is your salt. There's so much great information out there about salt and what's best to use, but I'm going to suggest finding a salt with the color in it. Celtic sea salt, Himalayan salt, something that, think about color, is minerals. I'm not going to go into it. What I do want to talk a little bit about is the importance of salt for fermentation, because the salt is keeping the bad bacteria at bay for this month or 2 weeks while your kraut's out, while the good bacteria that come naturally on the veg eat the sugars and the starches. So the salt is just really super important, and you're looking for about a 3% salt acidity, and that's really hard for the home kitchen to come up with that number. But when I figured out fresh and fermented, I was awake a lot of nights trying to figure out how can I explain that it's so salty, like you've oversalted your food, because I can't just say use 3 teaspoons of salt, because all salt's not created equal weight-wise. So what I suggest, I made this up ahead, is take a cup of water and mix 1.5 teaspoons of your salt in there. Just make sure it gets really dissolved, and then taste that. And that should be just like super salty ocean water, or like you've oversalted your food and you can't eat it. So that's what you're going for when you get it in the bowl and you get it all mixed up. So here we go. I'm gonna cut your cabbage in half. First thing is peel the outer leaves off and save those, because we're going to use those at the end when we pack up the jar. Then you're going to cut your core out, and again we're going to save that as well. And then start slicing, and I just say keep it a uniform thickness. Some people use a Cuisinart to shred it. I think it's really fun while we have this time, especially, to use our hands. So, okay, so you get the gist. Keep it just sort of uniform, somewhere between a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch, or larger if you want. Okay, so once you've got it in your bowl, you should probably have about 12 cups, maybe 2 pounds is about 12 cups. And you're going to use 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt. Don't worry about over salting, because you can adjust it at the end if it seems way too salty. But I'd start with at least 2 teaspoons and then maybe add a little more. So this is the best way to measure salt in my mind, for any teaspoon. Hands are clean, and then just start massaging. So again, this is going to help start the fermentation process a little bit by just massaging the veg, and it's going to help draw the liquid out. So what you'll do is you'll end up with a really briny solution in the bottom. So this takes a good 10 minutes. Sometimes it's great to get other members of your family to help. This is a great job to do with kids. You could use the bottom of a jar. I wouldn't suggest that in a glass bowl, but if you have a stainless bowl or a plastic bowl, you can use the bottom of your jar to smash it down. I really like the way it feels on my forearms to just massage it, but it does take, you know, probably a good 10 minutes. One little trick you can do is put the salt on it, cover it, and just walk away for an hour, and naturally that salt's gonna start pulling the moisture out. So once you've got it all mixed, here we are, 15 minutes later. The kraut is gonna have this brine right in the bottom. And so sometimes, depending on where your cabbage is from and what time of year it is, you might not get that much liquid out of it. But don't worry, as long as it's really broken down, because once you get it into the jar, you've got your little brine solution that you can make to top it off. So that's what you're looking for, is that brine. All right, so now, just pack it in your jar. There's funnels that you can use, or just use your hands. This is why it is a little bit easier to have a wider mouth jar. So once you get it in there, you're gonna push all the little floaters down, and because lactofermentation is an anaerobic process, meaning we don't want any air on there. All those probiotic bacteria are created without any oxygen. So we're gonna fill this up with brine, and that's where all the magic is gonna take place. And that's how that umami is gonna be created during that fermentation process. So push it down. Normally I'll use a muddler or something, but I don't have anything like that where I'm quarantined. So I'm just pushing all this down to make sure there's no little air pockets. Then you're gonna take one of your cabbage leaves that you pulled off the outside. You're gonna fold it up, and you're gonna put it right down in here. And it's gonna be like a little blanket that's just gonna cover, it's gonna push down, and it's gonna keep all those little cabbage bits that get created while you're massaging it. Then you're gonna take your core, and you're gonna push the core right in there. And I'm gonna get one more to wedge in. And again, this is just gonna keep, keep things from floating up and being exposed. So once we top this off, now you can push it down and then just have a look and make sure there's no little air pockets in there. Because what can happen if there's air pockets in there, things can mold, or they'll get soft, or it just can get wonky. So this little bit on the top is going to be exposed to that little bit of air, but because it's such a small surface area and there's really not much floating on there, it shouldn't be a problem. When you check this, you know, in a week or two or a month, we ferment for a full month at Firefly. Once you pull this out, you're just going to throw this away in the little blanket, and you'll dump the little bit of liquid off on top, and then all that is just pure magic down there. So you got it packed in there. You're gonna put it on kind of hand tight. You're gonna stick it on a plate, because this will inevitably, it's gonna bubble up, because that's the magic of the fermentation. That carbon dioxide just needs to come out. That's a byproduct of this process. So put it on a plate. You can stick it in the corner. It's fun if you have scientists in the house. It's fun to watch all the activity that's going on. You'll start noticing some aromas coming out. And if after a week, you know, it's really active and it starts bubbling out, and you see the brine level dropping down a little bit, you can always just mix up a little bit more brine solution and put it in there. So I would try to leave it for at least 2 weeks if you can. The flavor just gets better and better with age. And once you try it, you'll stick it in your refrigerator. Once you determine it's how you like it, it's gonna change. It's gonna continue to change at that lower temperature. But if you can leave it for at least a week, I would, and try for longer. Thanks. Let us know if you have any questions. I'm Julie at fireflykitchens.com, and you can email me. Thanks so much. Cheers. Good luck.